This week we're going to focus on creating learning activities enhanced with technology. You're going to be creating a spreadsheet to integrate as a classroom tool. Spreadsheets are a great way for students to understand large amounts of data and to produce models to explain the relationship between this data. Due to the flexibility of spreadsheets, students can create a variety of scenarios to explore and visualize large amounts of information quickly. Let's look at some spreadsheet basics. Spreadsheets are actually pretty simple. They contain three types of data. The first type of data is just a label. For instance, let's buy a car. That's a label, information to tell us what we're doing. Other labels might be type of car. The vertical designations on spreadsheets are called columns. Columns are labeled with letters. To expand a column, get between two columns with a double-sided arrow, hold your mouse key down and pull. Another way to expand columns is to double-click while you have the two-sided arrow. This will expand the column to the width of the widest item in that column. Types of cars. How about we look at a used Mini? I think those are pretty cute. Then I'm going to use my tab key or my mouse to get to the column next to used Mini. How about we also look at a Ford truck? I'll use my mouse this time to click to the next column. And how about we choose something fun? How about a Lotus Evora? I'm going to use the technique described earlier to expand those columns. Get between the columns with a double-sided arrow and double-click. These are all labels. For instance, the amount finance would also be a label. The interest rate that we would pay. The term of the loan. How long it's going to take us to pay the car off. And what we really want is to find out how much the payment amount is, to see if we can afford our Lotus. Again, I'll expand these columns out with a double-sided click. The other type of data that spreadsheets use are numbers. A quick look on the internet can tell me that I can get a decent Mini Cooper for $15,000. A new Ford truck for $30,000. And a Lotus Evora for $75,000. Interest rates for a Mini Cooper are about 3%. A little bit lower for a Ford truck. And a little bit higher for a sports car. Term of the loan, how long you plan to pay the loan off. Let's try 3 years and we can play with this data. In a spreadsheet we have columns. Those are labeled by your A, B, C, D. And we also have rows. Rows are listed by numbers on the left-hand side. Where a column and a row intersect, we call that a cell. If I click on cell B8, I want Excel to do what it does best. It calculates information. Now for the third type of data that Excel uses are called functions. We want a function to help us calculate how much the monthly payment is going to be for the used Mini. To find my functions, I'm going to click on the function key, this FX right here. The last 10 functions that were performed using the spreadsheet will show here. The function that we want is called payment. PMT is not listed on your list. You can search for it by typing in PMT here for payment. If it is on your list, click on PMT. Notice Excel is great about showing us what that particular function will do. Click on the OK. The first information that the function needs is rate. It will give you a description down here of what it's looking for. The rate is the interest rate for the period of the loan. For instance, 6% for quarterly payments. We're going to be doing monthly payments, so we would divide by 12. In this box, we need the interest rate, which is in cell B5, and we want to divide that by 12. 3% is a yearly rate. We want to get the monthly rate. NPR, total number of payments for the loan. Here in cell B6, we have the number 36, showing that we want to pay the car off in 3 years. Notice instead of typing 36, it is best practice to reference the cell B6. If I find myself struggling to make a 36-month payment, I may want to extend the payment to 48 months. Present value. How much are you going to finance? We'll click on cell B4. Again, we're going to reference the cell in case the price of the mini changes. Always when using the function, look down at the formula result. This result is showing $436. We always ask ourselves, does that make sense? If it does, we can click on the OK. Let's do the same for the Ford truck. Again, we want to create a formula, so we're going to use the function key. Find the function you desire to use. A sum, a maximum, an average, a count. Again, for this one, we're going to use payment. Let's put in the interest rate. Again, we're going to reference the cell 2.5. And that's the yearly interest, so we need to divide by 12 to get the interest for a month. The number of payments, again, we'll click in cell C6. And the present value, how much we're going to finance. Always we look at the formula result and say, does $865 make sense? If it does, click on the OK. One reason why Excel is so powerful is that it will follow patterns. Let's see if we can find a pattern here. B5 divided by 12, B6 and B4. C5 divided by 12, C6 and C4. What do you think this one would be? Do you think it would be D5 divided by 12, D6, and D4? We've found a pattern. Whenever you find a pattern, Excel can follow patterns. Let's do a fill across pattern. I'm going to take my cursor, which is a fat plus sign, and bring it right on the bottom right-hand corner of the cell that I want the pattern to follow. Notice that the plus sign changes from a fat plus sign to a skinny plus sign. I'll hold my mouse key down and pull across. Now Excel has followed that pattern. D5 divided by 12, then use information in box D6, and then D4. One of the reasons we reference the cells instead of putting in specific numbers is so we can hypothesize if things changed. For instance, I was looking on Craigslist and found a better price for the Mini Cooper. $13,500. Let's see how that changes our monthly payment. Notice that it automatically will change that payment. With a lower payment, maybe I'm thinking that I could pay off the Mini Cooper in 2 years instead of 3. Let's change this to 24 months instead of 36 months and see how it changes the payment amount. I found another Ford truck that's a dually and has special leather seats and some accessories that I would really like. The price of my Ford truck has now gone up to $37,000. If you get the number sign like this, that's because there's not enough room. Let's go ahead and use that technique to make the cell wider. Uh-oh, that's quite a bit per month. Let's change to 48 months and see if it's more affordable for me. Another thing Excel does really well is help visualize information by using a chart or graph. Let's highlight the name of our cars. And I'm going to hold my Control key down and highlight the payment amount. On my chart, I want to show the name of the car or truck and the payment amount to compare them. To do this, click on the Insert tab, choose the type of chart, how you would like to display the information. I'm going to choose a column chart. Here you'll see that I can see the payment amount of the Mini, the Ford, and the Fun Lotus. I hope this overview of spreadsheets, the 3 kinds of data you can put in spreadsheets, and a little bit about functions is helpful.